Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. I'm Jaisha, and in this video I'm giving you all my tips on how to get the best flexi rod set. I used to do flexi rod sets on my hair all the time, and I always got asked, how did you get your hair like that? So let me show you. First tip, do this on blown out hair or stretched hair. The results are insanely different on wet hair. The only things that you're going to need are a mousse or a setting foam and some flexi rods. I use a slightly smaller rod in the front, so I have two different sizes here, and I'm going to explain why in just a minute. So I section my hair off and apply the foam to my hair, making sure that the ends have a good amount of foam on them. That's important because it helps the hair wrap around and stay on the flexi rod. I start by wrapping the end all the way around the rod, and I smooth it out with my fingers a little bit before rolling the rod up, and then twist the rod around the hair. Roll a little bit more and then twist again, and keep going until the rod gets to my scalp, and then I just tuck both ends to secure it in place. I'll show it again. This is the roll and twist method. I detangle the section of hair, apply the foam, making sure the ends are well coated, and then I wrap the end around the rod, smooth it onto the rod, roll the rod upwards, and then twist. Roll again and then twist. And I always hold my hair before twisting just to keep things in place and make it smoother on the rod. And just repeat until you get to the scalp and secure the end of the flexi rod, both ends of the flexi rod. I'm also going to show you another way to roll the rod onto your hair so you can see the difference in the type of curl you'll get. Okay, now let's get into these tips. Just some small things that will make a difference in whether your results are a pass or fail. Like I first said, it's better to blow dry your hair first. Starting on wet hair will give you very different results. For one, your hair will take forever to dry. Also, on stretched hair, your hair will take the shape of the rod better than wet curly hair would. I've done this on wet hair before, and I could see my natural curl pattern peeking through, and then you just end up with different curl types and patterns in your look. As far as sizing goes, it all depends on the look you're going for. And when I say sizing, I mean the size of your flexi rod and also the size of the section of hair you have wrapped around it. Now, the length of your hair also plays a part, but don't worry because flexi rods come in a ton of different sizes. So if you have a small rod and a big section of hair, you'll have to separate your curls more on the takedown, which will give a voluminous look. So big hair, little curls. With a big rod and a small section, you'll have bigger, more defined curls. With a big rod and a big section, that means wavy hair. Probably won't last long, but cute for the moment. A small rod and a small section will give tight, very defined curls. So what kind of results do you want? So right here, I'm going to show you two different ways that you can wrap your hair around the flexi rod, two different methods to get two different types of curls. First, I'm doing the method that I already showed, the roll and twist, where you're just rolling the rod upwards and twisting it around your hair. Here, we're starting off the same way by wrapping the end of the hair around the rod and securing it, but instead of the twist, we're just rolling the rod all the way up to the scalp and securing it in place. For this method, you want to be sure that you don't wrap the hair on top of itself. It should be spread out over the length of the flexi rod. And then you can see the difference in these two right here in how the hair is wrapped. But I'm going to show you the difference in the curls when I take these down, and you can decide what look you like better. Another tip about flexi rods, you do not want to sleep in these. I mean, if you really need to, you can, but be prepared for a very uncomfortable night of sleep. I've done it several times and regretted it. Now I do this the same day I want my hair done so that I don't have to sleep in it or leave them in overnight. And I know sometimes it's hard because we have to get up early or maybe go to an event. So doing your hair the night before is ideal, but I would opt for a softer rod or roller if that's the case because I am done suffering in the name of beauty. Which leads me to my next point, and that is making sure your hair is fully dry before taking these out. I know we hear that a lot when it comes to setting natural hairstyles like twist outs, braid outs, rod sets, but it's really important because if your hair is damp in the slightest, the style will not be right. The curls will be limp, your natural curl pattern will come through instead of the shape of the curl you're trying to mold your hair into, and it'll definitely be frizzy, so be sure to set aside the right amount of time. If you're somebody that likes to air dry, I don't know what to tell you, but again, set aside the right amount of time because it just sucks when you put time into your hair, into a style, and it goes to waste when it doesn't come out right. We've all been there before. And then, like I mentioned earlier, I typically use two different rod sizes when I do my flexi rod sets. One pack of rods isn't enough anyways, so towards the front of my head, I use a rod that is slightly smaller than the rods in the back and on the sides. I don't know. This just gives a bouncier look up front and a little bit more of a layered look. This part is totally optional though. You can use the same size all around your head for an even look. My hair just doesn't have any shape to it, so this is how I secretly create it. And here is my head fully done. It took me 27 minutes to put all of these in. Wow, it felt shorter than that, but that's what my camera footage says. And you can see the rods closer to the front where I want my middle part to be are a little bit smaller than the rest. So I just went ahead and sat under a hooded dryer for roughly an hour to dry my hair and set the curls. So now I'm just going to take these down the same way I rolled them up. Like I said, first making sure my hair is fully dry. Test out that first curl, and if you feel any bit of dampness, put the flexi rod back in and get back under the dryer. Something that helps me as well, after I come from under the dryer, I let my hair cool down for a little bit, maybe like 15-20 minutes, just grab a snack or something. This helps my hair cool down because sometimes the heat from the dryer can linger for a little bit and it makes your hair feel like it's dry when it's really just still hot. I've experienced that with my wash and goes too. So you don't want to take it down immediately unless you know for sure it's 100% dry. You might think it is and then be halfway done taking the rods out before your hair starts to swell up, and we do not want that. Here you could see the difference in the two sizes of flexi rods that I used. The front curl is just a little bit smaller than the back one. Now remember those two methods I showed you for how to wrap your flexi rod? Here are the results. This first one is the same as the rest. This is the roll and twist method, but this second one was a little bit different. We just rolled the rod all the way up, no twisting, and this is the type of curl you get with that method. It's more like a Shirley Temple kind of curl, and this is what makes flexi rods so versatile. You can get so many different looks just using this one tool. And now it's time to separate the curls, another delicate process. Well, I guess this whole thing is delicate actually, but I really don't like to do this when I'm in a rush because I try to be super gentle with the unraveling. I intentionally did not speed up any of this so you guys can see it in real time. It took me about 11 minutes total to take the rods out and then do the whole separation process. So what I like to do is I kind of just run my fingers down the curl and let it separate where it naturally wants to. Like you'll feel gaps in the curl and little spaces that are already coming apart. I notice if I just separate it wherever, it brings more frizz. And of course, the more you separate a curl, the more frizz you're gonna get. But if you're going for big hair, then yes, keep separating. And sometimes I add hairspray before I unravel these sections just for a little bit more hold. And sometimes I add it after I separate, I don't think it makes a difference when you add it. It still gives some hold to the curls, especially those bigger ones. And I ended up going with a side part. I simply tucked away that little Shirley Temple curl because I didn't like how it looked. And this is the final look. I finished off with a little bit of hairspray and I put my hair in a pineapple at night to preserve it. And that's it. The smaller your curls are, the longer they're going to last. I hope you found this video helpful. Thanks for watching and I'll catch you in the next one.